Good morning and good evening. Welcome. My name is Michael Gizzi. I'm a professor at Illinois State University. I teach in the Department of Criminal Justice Sciences. I'm a political scientist, and I'm a certified MAXQDA trainer. I've been working with MAXQDA now for over a decade. Today's spotlight session, is making the most of word-based features in your research with a focus on Word Explorer. I'll use PowerPoint for about 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and then we will jump in. The rest of the whole session will be in MAXQDA in live demo mode. So, word-based features are tools that aid in identifying concepts, searching for words or phrases, word combinations, with the ability to auto-code results. There are a lot of tools that we could focus on. Text search and autocode, formerly known as lexical searches in prior versions of MAXQDA, Word Explorer, word frequency, word combinations, keyword and context, interactive word trees, dictionary-based content analysis, with a whole bunch of related tools there as well. We'll explore several of those today, but we're going to show you really how you can access many of them in one tool within Word Explorer. It's sort of like, I call it a one-stop shopping for a lot of things. It doesn't do everything, but it does a lot. Tomorrow, I'll be giving a presentation on MAXDICTIO focused on dictionary-based content analysis. So that's one thing we won't be discussing today at all. So before Word Explorer came around, the primary way that you searched for text in your documents was by using the text search and autocode tool. This is found in the analysis menu. And you simply type in a search item and you specify whether you want it in documents, comments, memos, or phrases. You have a bunch of other options, and then it generates results. And those results can then be auto-coded. And we'll talk about how we auto-code in the context of our discussions later in the session, because it's always the same. There are more advanced versions of text search, extended text searches, which are kind of Boolean searches as well. But this was the primary way that we searched information, single words or phrases, or multiple words and phrases. Within MAXDICTIO, we have other tools we can use, keyword and context, where we would type in the keyword, say mental health here, and it shows us the context of it before and after the words, which can be really useful. Again, there's actually, this doesn't auto code, but we can code data based on that. Okay, so it's not auto coding, but yeah, it's coding the search results. We also have word combinations. And this will go through all of it takes the word frequencies in your project, and it looks to see the way in which words are combined. So in this project, this is from my study for tomorrow's research talk on the January 6th defendants. These are word combinations that show up in the document. And there's 888 of them there. And most frequently, United States Capitol, Senate wing door, United States Attorney, for example. So this is a feature that we have. Word tree, or what used to be called interactive word tree. I can barely keep up with the name changes. Word tree is a really interesting tool where you plug in a word and it shows you not just the context, but it shows you, and I've got it set up in the middle here, it's showing the words before the word and all of the ways that it comes after. And then you can actually click on those and go right into the documents and look at those. So again, that's a MAXDICTIO feature, which this one we're not really going to focus on today much. But Word Explorer is different. Very powerful tool. I used it extensively when I was doing a study of several thousand tweets during the pandemic, and I used it. I just hunted for hashtags of terms, and I did massive amounts of auto coding of text using Word Explorer. And what's powerful about Word Explorer is it combines features of several word-based tools in one place. You can search for words or phrases. You can see the results in your documents. So it says here the word mental health. Click Explore. Don't worry about these options. We're going to go through all of these live in a few minutes. And it says there are 83 hits. I can click on that and it'll open up search results. These hits are found in 27 documents. I can click on that and activate those documents. 4 document groups, 5 document sets. And it shows me that the word mental health shows up in 11 memos and in 6 coding comments. But it also shows me the frequency of these terms or words or phrases in documents. So these are the documents where they showed up the most. The most frequent codes, where coded, basically coded segments where these words show up. Not surprisingly, the number one hit in this example is our mental health issues. Most frequent word combinations. By the way, on the screen, you have to scroll down to see it all. I kind of screenshotted it so that you could sort of see it all on one screen at one time. Most frequent word combinations, and then context words, where there's context words. So mental health issues, for example, 21 times. Mental health treatment. So what you're seeing here are the results of multiple tools all at one time. You can view the search results and auto-code those results. You can activate individual documents. It's a very powerful tool. I think when it came out in MAXQDA 2022, it was my absolute favorite new tool, and it's remained just a useful tool. I use it every day. So why would you use Word Explorer instead of text search? It provides a comprehensive overview of words and phrases, or phrases. That said, if I have multiple phrases or words that I need to search, I'll rely on text search. I'll show you an example of that live in a few minutes. But most of the time, I find that Word Explorer provides an ease of use and a view of my data that integrates numerous MAXQDA tools in one place. I should also say that the extended text search tool can be very helpful. It goes beyond what Word Explorer can do when you have very complex search terms. And again, I'll show you an example of that as well. So let's take a deep look at Word Explorer and MAXQDA, as well as a few of these other tools. By PowerPoint. So I'm in MAXQDA. Assume you can see it. I want to make sure. Yep. Okay. And this is a project file. This is from a business strategy study I've been working on for a long time. It's using letters to shareholders and earnings call transcripts from the Netflix Corporation over a 5-year period. It's a longitudinal study. You can actually read more about that in my chapter of the new book, The Practice of Qualitative Data Analysis, Volume 2. Which Dr. Stefan Rodecker and I will be talking about in about an hour and a half. So we've got a project file here. So let's start talking about, first off, the tools that we've mentioned here exist in the Analysis menu, Text Search and Autocode, Word Explorer, and in the MAXDICTIO menu, word frequencies, keyword in context, word combinations, word trees, Word Matrix Browser, we didn't talk about it, but it's actually one of my favorite tools as well, and dictionary-based stuff. But we'll come back here. So text search is very powerful, without a doubt. So I'll take a word like, I've got games here, why not? And I'll run a search, and it will show me search results from the word games. Netflix is a gaming producer as well today. The problem is sometimes you end up with search results which aren't what you are interested in, like the name of a game called Sacred Games. Maybe I don't want that. Maybe I want gaming. So we'll see. Whereas there are ways to get to there using extended text search, but I'll leave that for purposes of time, I'll leave that to the manual for you to take a look at. But that's sort of the default original tool for searching text results. And I could take content, click on it immediately, it jumps me to where that word is. I can turn off with a single click to ignore hits and use auto coding if I want it right from there. Okay. The one thing that text search does, which is great, that Word Explorer can't do. So I have a search here for this concept called pulled forward. And you'll see it here is pull forward, pull forward. There's like 19 hits there. Okay. But sometimes in the text, it was written like that with a dash as one word. In text search, I can actually see all of those results. So now I have 36. So what I'm trying to get at here is if I have multiple phrases I'm interested in, then text search is definitely the way to go. Or run the search twice in Word Explorer. But okay. So Word Explorer. How do we get to Word Explorer? First off, there are two ways to get to Word Explorer. One is just to open it here in analysis, or I can take take a word or phrase, highlight it, right click, get to the context menu, and explore that word in Word Explorer. Not a great choice that I chose because there's literally one hit for that word. So there's two ways to get to Word Explorer. Directly, which is fine, but it does require you to, if you were in Visual Tools and say, all right, I need to go to Word Explorer, now I have to go to Analysis and click it. But I take the word launched, right click, explore in Word Explorer, gets me there directly. And that word had 65 hits and 33 documents. Excited. So how we access it, contrast it with text search. Okay. So let's look at the features that are in Word Explorer. First off, we have two menus. The start menu, which has a whole bunch of choices, such as only activated documents, only activated codes, and how many things we want to show up. So we've got launch showing 10. I can change that to 4 or 5. I can go as high as 50, I think. Yep. So I can see as many as my top 50 hits. I generally leave that at 10. It works. I don't have any documents activated, but I'll activate my documents from 2018. Now you'll notice that this has just turned on. I can click it to only activated documents and then have to click only activated documents. Now I'm down to 13 hits. Okay. I could do the same thing to look for text in codes. So activate partnerships, bunch of partnership codes, and activated codes. And it's still showing me the same. Interesting. So Not going to worry about that one much. I'm going to turn those off and deactivate everything because we don't really care for our purposes today. Case sensitivity. If I'm searching for Netflix, I'm going to find a whole lot, right? 815 hits. If I do case sensitivity, I've got it down to one hit, and that's one hit in one document where it's just Netflix. Why? Because most of the time it's going to be Netflix. So case sensitivity can be valuable. I generally don't use it, but starting letters and find whole words are really powerful. So one of the things that Netflix does is bundle services with other companies and partners, sometimes competitors. Bundle is an interesting word. I can type bundle. Oh, and it just crashed. Hang on. Love when that happens. Nice thing in MAXQDA, not a big deal. We just get right back to it. I have 38 times where bundle shows up. Bundle shows up 17 times. Bundling shows up 13 times. Well, how about if we use starting letters and just take the root of that word, bundle, B-U-N-D-L, and explore. Now I have 51 hits. Let's click on it. And you'll see here, bundle officers, bundle, bundling, bundles. I think those are all the words for that. It's a very powerful tool. Now, sometimes you might get confused because if you have starting letters and find whole words on at once, notice I got no hits because there is no word B-U-N-D-L. It's not a word, it's a root of a word. Okay. If that happens and you know that should be there, look to see if that's on. Sometimes it can be hard to tell if these options are enabled or not. With the black screen, it really differs on the brightness of your monitor. In this monitor, I can see clearly. Sometimes my laptop, when I'm running on battery, the screen is fairly dim and I don't see that as well. So it's something that if that happens, you just need to realize that that probably was the problem. Now, you can have starting letters on and find whole words. If there is a whole word, it'll get it, but it won't find the rest of them. So find whole words is useful. I can also search for, actually, I want to do the one that I showed before. I can also search for a phrase. Got 19 hits for pull forward. Scrolling down here, I didn't get the dashboard. I want to turn off starting letters. I'm surprised it didn't give it to me this time. When I ran this yesterday, I was getting dash, full dash forward, and it didn't show up today. It's interesting. Sometimes that happens. If I know that a phrase is used different ways, I could explore it two different ways. 17 here. So I've got lots of different ways that I can hunt for things. 45 hits, click on it. If I click on the documents, you'll notice now I've activated 24 of my 40 documents. Turn that off. We don't need to activate those. Notice original content shows up in coding comments. Click on that. I'm not getting search results. I'm actually getting the matching. I am getting search results, but they're different. These search results are actually the coded segments where the code comment has the word you're looking for. You can see original comment here. Can you use wildcards in Word Explorer? That's a good question. And I should know that, and for some reason, apparently yes. Wait a second. 1253. It's less. I'm not certain. That's actually, I never use those that way, and I should. Xander, could you perhaps answer that via the manual in the Q&A for us and type the answer?
Yes, but I'm not quite sure what was the question. Maybe I
Can you use
misunderstood.
wildcards in Word Explorer?
Wild cards.
Yeah.
Okay. I will answer the question in the chat. I will have to figure out the answer first, but I will answer.
Yeah. I don't think so, but I think I would know that, but I don't think so. But anyways, let's move forward because it's 11:38 and we're time is flying. Okay, forward. Base form. This is what's called lemmatization. Base form is a very interesting tool. I'll turn it on here. You can pick from 14 languages. We're doing English here. If I take the word give, the classic example, and give, given, probably have gave somewhere in there. It takes the root of a word and it looks for all of the possible options of it. Can be very useful for you. Can be very useful for you. I don't. I will sometimes use it, but I often find that starting letters does what I'm looking for as well for the types of words that I'm hunting for. But it really depends on what you're doing. We have a question. If we have documents in multiple languages, is there a way to use Word Explorer to search for the word in two languages at the same time? So we have a word that's in English and a word that's in German. It's the same word, but it's in, again, multiple languages. I think you need to go to text search and have two different word phrases there. I don't think it would work in Word Explorer because you're never going to have, we're not going to come up with these. That's a phrase that wouldn't show up in a document, beer and beer.
I
But
will take this as a feature request and I will
yeah,
put it in with my team in product management. I
okay,
can't
good.
promise anything, of course, but I
Yeah,
will put it in as a feature request.
but you could do it here by if you had beer and you had why was beer the first German word that came to my mind? I don't know. Uh, and so you could do it that way. If the text was in two languages in your documents, that would work, but not in Word Explorer. The thing about Word Explorer, it's one word or one phrase. You could have a lot of words. I guess there was no pull forward effect. But it's only one phrase. That's a great question. You can tell it to ignore numbers. You can tell it to use a stop word list of words that you don't want to see results from. I've got it set to the English complete one, which I downloaded from the help manual. The advanced options, you can say how many context words you want before or after, whether you want to ignore hashtags, email addresses, or hyperlinks in your searches. Okay? So those are your options with it. So we've gone through a lot of these already. You know, I took that, for example, that pull forward. Those 19 hits. If I'm interested in auto coding, I could click on these here. Now, I know that this combination of terms had to deal with subscriber growth, new members, and the context was really about the pandemic. And I know 2019 was talking about it in a different way. So I don't want that. So I'm going to turn it off, ignore it. And if I wanted to auto search through these and say these are all relevant, I can auto code with a new code. It'll start that way. I'll leave it for purposes of time. Click OK. And 18 segments were now coded as pull forward. That said, I just made the mistake and I auto-coded a word. I don't want a word. So let's go back and auto-code the existing code. And here I need to change. I did it so fast I wasn't thinking. I need to think, I really want the paragraph that that text occurs in. I'm a big believer that when I auto-code anything, I want to see generally the context of it. And for me, a paragraph works fine. And I click auto-code that. Oh, it didn't give me anything. Interesting. It didn't redo those. So I'm going to delete that. Click OK. Auto-code with a new code. Pull forward. Paragraph. One paragraph. I need to change that to 1, not 0. Click OK. It would have worked if I had fixed that before. Now I've got 16 paragraphs, which are coded. I could go back since I knew that this sometimes shows up this way. Instead of going to text search to do it. I got 17 hits here. Again, I'll turn that one off just for the heck of it. Auto code with an existing code. I'll say pull forward. One paragraph. Actually, you know what? I was coding one paragraph before and 0 after. 0 would have been fine. Auto code. And now I got 12 more segments. So after you auto code, you can review the codes here in coded segments, or you could go to codes and smart coding tool. And you can look to see these are all of our pull forward coded segments from 15 documents and anything else that was actually coded as. So that text was also coded as global and as a question. So I often will do that because just because I capture something in an autocode, it's good to double check and make sure that what you have makes sense. Okay, let's see here. We can close that. So if I looked at, say, the word combinations, click on that here, that's going to again show it up. And this will be the same text because most likely, because if it captured pull forward, it's going to capture the pull forward effect. Okay. But maybe there was a reason why you want to capture that and save it. The other thing you can do is notice here when you hover over the box, you have the option, one, you can turn that window off if you want, if you don't need it. You have the option to copy it, and it's now an image that's been copied. I'll just dump it into a free memo. And that is a graphic image. Okay, it's no longer interactive, but it's a graphic image. I can also send it to a QTT workshop, COVID impacts, starting existing analysis, QTT, COVID impacts. I think I've done it a couple times. I did it when I was testing yesterday. Again, this is just the list. You can't click on any of those words anymore. It's no longer interactive, but you could write, you can use the insight window to capture our notes. Actually, that was the one from yesterday. The top one is the newest one, since I just did it. It is interesting that I'm getting different word combinations from time to time. I can't really tell you why, but that's a useful feature there. So say you were, and again, we could do the same thing with context words. Any context words, we could take those there and we could capture them to see those results and autocode if we want. And even export in that instance those search results to a spreadsheet if there was a reason to. I think something else. I think we're capturing the bulk of this. We've used our 30 minutes and we've covered most of it. One of the things I love the fact, I love the fact that in Word Explorer, I can see both the document hits and the summaries and coded comments or memo hits at the same time. That's one of the ways that this tool is so powerful to me because it just speeds things up. It's efficient. If I go to text search, I can say I want to see it in comments. What was the one that I had? Original content. In content, in comments, and it will show me those in comments. Wait a second. I'm looking at the wrong thing. Text search, original content, in comments, run search. It should show me 7. I don't know why it's showing 7. That's interesting. Word Explorer does it for me. It just, captures those terms. Oh, it was 7 coded comments. So yeah, it was doing the same thing, but I can access this and this at the same time. For summaries, it's going to show me the summaries that I wrote that were in a summary table and the locations of those. So that's a little bit less useful by itself because what it's doing is it's just capturing the text that you wrote in it. And I don't know with this version where that came from. I'd have to look, but it's really the stuff that shows up in a summary table that you write in a in a written summary. You can use those in Max Maps as well, and to explore your summaries. If I go to codes, and so original content and competition, I'm going to have 11 hits where there's original content. So you'll notice here, original content. This is the segment. It's coded as competition, and original content shows up there. So it's showing me, it's letting you, the word I think we would use is you're mining that data. It's letting you mine everywhere where those words show up. And so it's really powerful. Does it mean it eliminates these other tools? No. I can think of lots of reasons where I would want to use like an extended text search, or in particular MAXDAYS, like the word matrix explorer. So say I have all of these search items here and I want to see them in my document groups, where the word pull forward appears one time in 2019, 5, 10, 3. It's very different. But together, when you think of Word Explorer and you think of, say, as a tool to help create a dictionary for purposes of so here's a dictionary of terms that I'll be talking about tomorrow in the session on, I'll be talking about in the session on dictionary-based content analysis. One of the ways that we identified terms to search terms to add to a dictionary was by testing them out in Word Explorer. So, questions. How can we eliminate the words of the questions we ask in an interview? Oh, that's great. In Word Explorer, I know exactly what you're saying here. Going to the old standby. So like, I don't want these words that are in the question. I only want to be looking at the results. In Word Explorer, can I do that? Probably not. I don't think I can narrow it down in Word Explorer, unless, oh yeah, I could. Wait a second. If the responses were all, okay.
May I
I
interrupt?
want to limit it to activated codes. 1 second. I know my brain just was going too fast, but if I go back to my project here, okay, you'll notice anytime there's something coded as a question, I could also code the responses with a response code, and then I would activate a code. So if I want to, so let's flip it around. If I want to say, pretend instead of questions, this was the responses. If I limit Word Explorer to only activated codes, which was questions, and I'll see exactly just those activated results. Xander, you had another suggestion?
No, it was just basically this, activating all codes, but the one that you've coded as a question, so you got me there.
That only works if that has already been coded.
Generally
right?
speaking, it's something we are working on. It's
Right.
just very hard to implement. We're very aware of this. It's just not easy to implement. For example, if somebody has a PDF document, now we have created this feature where people can remove the header and the footer so they don't affect the search, it's just hard to implement on a technical level. So you have to have this kind of workarounds of coding the questions as questions. But yeah, it's something we know and we try to
You code the questions as
handle.
questions, code the answers as answers, and only search the answers. If the questions were always the same, and they're not if you got open-ended surveys oftentimes, because, I'm sorry, interviews. I'm interviewing somebody and I ask the question differently. Um, if I ask the question differently, it's not gonna work. I was thinking you could use extended text search and search. This was the search item, but for none of these would be the words and as a phrase that was in the question text. But that only works if the question is written the exact same way. So yeah. Now, if you import data from documents from spreadsheets or survey data, where you've got the information where every field is done, then you have the code for the answers that you could activate and search that. So great question. Other questions? I think I've covered it all. We're literally down to the last 3 minutes. Any questions? I hope this has been useful. I do want to suggest, if you want to see some examples of Word Explorer in real life, I encourage you to grab a copy of the Practice of Qualitative Data Analysis, Research Examples Using MAXQDA Volume 2. I'm holding the paperback comment. Wow. Talk about wild. I opened it up, and the first thing I opened it to was a page that has a Word Explorer graphic in it. Actually, and it's from my chapter. Wow. Chapter 3 tells how we used Word Explorer and other word-based tools in our research to build a dictionary to auto code over, what was it? 40,000 words of text or something like that. So that's free from MaxQDA Press. You can actually learn about MaxQDA Press in the Expo area.
We got a few questions all together at the end. I'm not sure if you would like to try to handle them, but yeah.
Had a verbatim interview, which is based on my note taking, as interviews refused to be recorded. Can MaxDayS help with AI to transcribe in accordance to the notes out of the interview? Yes. There was a session earlier today on transcription using MaxQDA, and that recording at some point will be up, and that would be great. But the new AI tool for transcriptions is really phenomenal. And yeah, that should work for that. Could we use the extended text search by putting in Q? Yeah, I think that. Oh, the name of the book, there's a session at 1 o'clock today about the book, The Practice of Qualitative Data Analysis, Research Examples Using MaxQDA. It's the closing session for today. It's in an hour. Stefan Radiker and I will be presenting an overview of the 9 chapters of the book. So. Other questions? I think I got them all. Thank you, Xander.
You are very welcome. Someone is asking how authentic is it to use the word cloud or code cloud? I don't think we tackled that one, did we?
No, it wasn't one that I was focusing on, but if I took, I mean, the same sort of idea. Let's see, visual tools. If I did a word cloud, I'll just take one document, doesn't matter. And say, none of these are great words, but say the word internet I'm interested in a word cloud. I can double click on it, see the search results, and I can auto code from it with an existing or a new code. So But that's really a different topic by itself.
Fair, fair. I just wanted to make sure we saw
How
everything.
authentic is it to use word cloud? I never use it in my, I don't tend to use it in my analysis report, but I use it as a tool while I'm doing analysis. But I can see in a PowerPoint presentation, I might use it as a visual. I'm going to use tomorrow in my talk on January 6th. I've got several visuals, concept maps that I'm using. They won't end up in my paper most likely. Well, they could, but they're useful in a visual presentation.